This is Karen Ranzi of Feel Fabulous with Food, and I'm really happy today to be here with my friend and colleague, John Kohler. He's got some amazing videos up on his websites, OK Raw and Growing Your Greens, Discount Juicers also. And I thought it would be great today to talk about how to get your food in the best way possible for your health so that you can eat healthy as a raw vegan. And that's really going to be our topic today, because a lot of raw food, depending on where you get it, is not going to be that health promoting. We're here in Texas, Austin, Texas. The Texas Fruit Festival just finished. I was a speaker there. John was a speaker. I really loved his information about eating locally, getting your food local, and how to find the best produce and eating seasonally. So I want to talk about some of that with John today and see what information he can give you. So John, what are some of your tips for getting the best nutrition? Because that's what we're all looking for. It's not just only about eating raw food. It's about taking in the nutrients. Where can we go? We don't want to buy all of our food at local stores, and you were talking about agribusiness, because a lot of that is agribusiness, and we're not getting that much nutrition from some of the foods that we're buying in the stores. What are some ways that people can get more?
All right, Karen. Yeah, so what I'd like to say is that the agriculture industry, when you go buy your produce, organic or conventional, at a grocery store or Whole Foods or wherever you're buying it, right? They're selling you the food, right, for one reason only. It's not for your health, it's for profit. So the companies that grow the food, big farms, right? We like to think that organic farms are like small mom and pop shops. In some cases they are, but if you're buying it at a big grocery store chain, it's likely a huge farm that probably doesn't care about your health. They care about the profit. They care about the fruit or the vegetable shipping and not expiring and going bad before they lose their profit. And so I'm not going to say all that food is like useless or worthless, because of course plenty of people eat that food and you can be quite healthy from it. But what I would say is that I want you guys to do better. This is my 30th year living on a raw vegan diet, and all during my journey I've always tried to improve and up my game and make it a little bit better. And I've dove in deep to the whole rabbit hole of industrial grown food, how it's grown. And I'm not gonna say it's bad and it's worthless, because honestly, fruits and vegetables in the grocery store, even if it's conventional and not even organic, is still the healthiest food inside the grocery store that you guys should be buying and eating in as much amounts as you possibly can. So don't think, oh, John Kohler's an elitist person and all these things. No, I still shop at grocery stores, but what I will tell you is that this is how I source my food. This is what's the most important to me, okay? Number one, I grow it. That's, every day I wake up, I have a whole garden. Wherever I am in the world, I have two gardens and one farm in Puerto Rico. And so if I'm at one of my locations, I wake up and there's food growing at all my places, all my properties that I own. And when I wake up, I take an assessment like, oh, I got all my greens today at my house, but today is not the day my fig trees are in season, so I don't have figs, so I need to get some fruit. After I source all the food from my local garden, so after I source all the food from my backyard garden and what I'm growing myself, then my next step is, where can I get other foods that are the healthiest in my area? So for that, I go to and visit 2 local farms near me every single week of the season. And either one of the farms is a U-pick farm, so I literally get to select the ripeness of the fruit when I buy it, and I get to sample a few before I pay for it. Yeah. And then I go to the other farm that basically picks all the ripe fruit, and then I get to select it and get the ripest of the ripe and what is exactly in season, and usually pick that day or maybe the day before. So it's super fresh. And so then that's like my second stage, like growing myself, visiting local farms. The third stage is then I go around, if I don't have enough food at that point and want more variety or diversity, then I'll visit local organic stores, such as Sprouts Farmers Market, such as Natural Grocers, such as Whole Foods, such as Trader Joe's, right? I'll go to these stores and I'll buy like organic produce to fill in if I don't have enough items from my home and from the local farms.
And also, I wanted to just add to that if you're not in a place where you can have a garden, or if your garden hasn't worked for you for some reason, then you can also do, if you want to do local, you can start sprouting on your counter. That's been really helpful for me, is to do some sprouting to add to your salads, to get fresh nutrients into your salads. Eating fresh is really great. So yeah, I think that some of these things are really, really interesting. And you had some other information in your talk about not only where you shop, but what you look for, and some of the local food. Like, I know one of my friends is starting to get more local fruit. We get so much of our fruit shipped to us, and it loses nutrition during the shipping process. So she started to eat some like local figs and pawpaw and things like that. Can you give us some any others?
Sure. So, depending on where you live in the country or world, right, I encourage all you guys to eat locally. So when I'm eating out of my garden, right, it's not being shipped in. I pick it and I either juice it, vacuum blend it, steam it, or, eat it raw, like instantly. Same thing with the fruits. One of the fruit farms I visit, I pick it off the tree, it goes home, I eat it within the next few days. The other farm, they pick it that day or the day before, and I buy it and I eat it. So it's super fresh. When you get to choose the ripeness of the fruit, it has more nutrition. It's also going to taste a lot better for you. It's also more enzymatically active as well, and more vibrant and literally alive. And that's why we're eating raw, living foods. And like Karen said, if you don't have farms near you, you can't have a garden like I do. I encourage you guys to have a garden. I teach how to garden, grow your own food at Growing Your Greens. I have over 1,700 or 1,800 videos now on how to grow your own food from start to finish. I have many videos where I show how I set up my garden and just took out my front lawn and put in raised beds and started growing food. I have videos on how I started putting in concrete block raised beds or just circular raised beds in Las Vegas, Nevada, and grow my food there. I have videos every season showing you guys exactly the plants I'm growing that love the heat. I also have videos like where I go down to Puerto Rico, visit friends in Florida, Hawaii. I travel all over the country and share in different climate zones how you can grow your food. And of course, a lot of the techniques I share will work all over. But yeah, if you don't have space, then I would recommend sprouting. Like Karen said, that's very important, to grow some of your own food, to take control and become a producer instead of a consumer in our society. In addition, you could also indoors. Sprouting is the easiest. The next easiest is the microgreens, which has a little bit different benefits than sprouts. They're a little bit more fun, a little bit different. But start off with sprouting. You could go up to microgreens if you want to. The other thing I'd recommend also is getting to learn. We're here in a public park actually today, and you could go out to your local park. If they don't spray stuff, or the local forest, you could go on a wild foods walk.
Yeah.
There's people like Katrina Blair in Durango, Colorado.
I've done wild foraging retreats with her in Colorado, and I may be actually hosting one of those.
Oh, well, that's great.
A great thing to do. And also in the warmer months, I've gone out into the woods, even where I've lived in New Jersey, and I have foraged for wineberries,
right,
like the wild raspberries and blueberries. And in Colorado, we have apricot trees that are growing, and we've picked local apricots. So you just need to be aware and start looking where you are. And we were also talking before, John, about berries. Like, number one, you have to get berries organic, unless you're getting them, like foraging in the wild. I had heard from a nutritionist once that you shouldn't get berries in the wintertime shipped from another country like Chile or Peru. You said that you do that, plus you also do frozen wild blueberries, right?
Yep.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I always encourage you guys to eat as local as possible. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have a year-round vegetable season, but then the fruits are only in season for a certain period of time, and then I could get citrus fruits or other fruits when I drive to California 4 hours away that they do grow those year-round. Depending on where you live in the world, not all fruits are always going to be in season. But if we go to the grocery store, which is an artificial representation of nature, in most supermarkets, there's a lot of fruit that is always in season. If you go to the supermarket pretty much all year long, there's always going to be apples. But do you know what season apples are harvested? Well, generally apples are harvested late summer or fall, right? So then how do we have apples in the beginning of spring or even summer of next year? That's because all the apples that are harvested now are literally put in an auction deprived warehouse under cold with the auction removed. So then the apples don't respirate, and then they store fresher for longer. So like literally if you're buying apples in June, they were picked like 4 or 5 months ago. Well, I'm getting fresh apples. No, you're getting apples that have been stored, but nobody's ever told you this. I mean, if you buy bananas, they were picked early when they're green. They get shipped into the United States, and then they have gassing chambers, right? Yes, even the organic ones have gassing chambers. I've seen gassing chambers at the South San Francisco produce terminal that I've been to. The gassing chamber says organic bananas only. I'm like, oh, they must be gassing the organic bananas, because then once they get here, when they're green, then they put them under ethylene gas, and then they start to turn yellow. Why don't they sell them or ship them when they're yellow? Because then they'll get damaged and bruised, and then nobody likes bruised bananas. So, but then you have bananas year round. And I mean, in the tropics, yes, there are times when there are bananas, and they can be year round, because I have banana plants in the tropics that produce year round, but sometimes of the year they'll produce more than others. So if you lived in the tropics, you would be eating bananas all year, but all the temperate climate fruits are all seasonal. So if you're eating outside the seasons, like, stone fruits are summer fruits. If you're eating them in the wintertime, they're coming from outside the United States. They've had to come very far, and generally the quality, in my opinion, is very poor, and I don't even try to buy them.
Like, I don't eat melons in the wintertime.
Because they have to be shipped in from somewhere.
That's one reason, but also I feel like we're not just gravitating towards them, especially if we live in a northern climate.
Right.
Right? I'm not even attracted to watermelons.
So what are you attracted to in the wintertime then, Karen?
In the wintertime, like, I like pears.
Okay.
So that's
a storage crop that's harvested in the fall. So that'd be kind of going into the winter.
Yeah. Now, when would you say is a good time then to eat apples? The best.
Well,
time
apples is like right off the tree. So actually, right now in Las Vegas, they're harvesting fresh apples. They got like Mutsu apples. They got
fall is really the best time.
Fall, the fall. The fall is the best time to get fresh apples, and you want to try to buy them from the farmer's market, right? And ask the farmer, when did you pick these? Like, I was here at the farmer's market 2 days ago here in Austin, and there's a apple guy selling the apples he just literally picked off the tree, if you want them fresh. Here, sometimes apples will come in from New Zealand, so then we could have apples actually they pick, because their seasons are opposite ours, because like their summers are winter and vice versa.
So we should look at the sticker and see where it's from.
So that's what I was saying. So in the USA, there's a mandatory COO. What that means is country of origin. Every store by law, or they could get fined, and some stores should be fined if they're not doing it. By law, on the sign, it says apples, it should say product of USA, product of Costa Rica, product of, Chile. And especially on the berries, it'll say where they're from. It'll say organic, and you got to look on the package. If something's in a package, it should say it on the package. And if it's just like loose lettuce, then it should say on a sign. And actually, that's a law, and the stores could get fined like, I think, $100 or something for every time they're not doing COO. The other thing you could, if it's not labeled on the label of the package or the sticker or whatever, the sign on the store with the price, then you should be able to ask the produce manager, because every box of case of produce that they get in will have the COO or country of origin, where it comes from, so that you could be aware. And of course, I always encourage you guys to eat as much local as you possibly can. And I know Karen talked a little bit earlier about in the wintertime, I will eat wild frozen blueberries that are pesticide free from Trader Joe's, right? I pretty much eat those all year, not in any large amounts, but adding them to smoothies, I'll freeze dry them.
They do have a lot more nutrition, I think, the wild blueberries, because historically they're the native plant, right?
Exactly.
And that's the blueberry plant. Whereas the fresh blueberries, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, so they basically been hybridized like many fruits, and I'll have a video soon where I go really deep on domesticated versus wild fruits, because there's all these different levels that I've looked into and seen. But basically the wild blueberries are smaller. They're also, if you cut them open or break it open, it's like purple all the way through, whereas traditional blueberries are like, blue on the outside, and you cut them open and they're like white if they're ripe, or green on the inside, or maybe a little bit turning brown if they're going bad, when you buy them. So really it's the anthocyanin compounds, which is what makes it purple, is what is so healthy for us. And the wild blueberries just kick butt over the fresh blueberries. But then even in the wintertime, when there's not many fruits, like we always have bananas, And for me, I'd rather choose eating organic blueberries that are imported than imported bananas, right? Because they're a lot more nutritious. And I love eating fresh foods, and I believe that, fresh foods are best. But I also like to not only exclusively eat fresh foods. That's why I have some frozen foods, such as like the organic cherries I get at Costco and the wild blueberries. Those are probably my two favorites frozen fruits to eat.
I do eat bananas because I feel like I do need the more calories that I get from them, but I also really do bulk up on the berries, and especially in the winter, I'm really big on the wild blueberries that are frozen from Canada. Then in the warmer months, I go with more with the fresh blueberries that are from the United States. Yeah, that's great. All that information was fantastic, John. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and if you are looking to meet with like-minded people and hear like the best speakers in the raw food community, I highly recommend coming to one of these wonderful fruit festivals, and you'll learn all this. John had some great fruit that he freeze-dried and also sent around. Oh my goodness, those peaches were incredible. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Great. Take a look at John's channels that he talked about earlier in Juicing Your Greens and OK Raw. You'll learn a lot. And please subscribe to Feel Fabulous with Food, and I'll see you on the next video.